like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand.
Hello, and welcome to my 2,000 subscriber special. I kinda can't believe I'm here. Thank you everyone so much for subscribing and watching and enjoying and commenting and all that good stuff. It has been an intense journey. I'm gonna give a little bit of context here. The reason I originally started my channel was kind of twofold. I liked making videos in the first place, and I had a channel with my friends called Lazy Alien Studios where we were reviewing Godzilla movies and doing Let's Plays, and we were having a lot of fun with it, but it wasn't really catching on, and I started to think maybe it was because the channel was too general. I was doing what the hell ever on that channel, including some really primitive debunking flat earth stuff. But then one day after a visit with my doctor, she was telling me that she was asking if I'd ever considered voiceover work, or if I'd ever considered narrating anything, or getting on the radio or anything like that. And I started to think, well, maybe I should start a second channel that's just me and just doing space stuff or just flat earth stuff. So that's exactly what I did, and here we are, a few months later, 2,000 subscribers. Wow. So I wanted to do this unscripted because I wanted it to have a slightly more real feel to it than me just going through a script. I have seen the questions I'm going to be answering already, but I haven't, scripted out an answer for them. I'm just going to kind of wing it. So I'm going to pull up the community tab now. If I miss anybody who posts a question after this video comes out, I will at the very least answer it in that community tab. There we go. Let's see. Sort by oldest. Roger Rabbit. First. Tiffany Blue. I dug the Flat Earth Mental Illness series. More of that type of thing would be cool. I plan on it. It's a never-ending series as far as I go. Have you addressed Hollow Earth, aliens, and UFOs? No. I haven't addressed any of those. I mean, Hollow Earth, Hollow Earth is such a weird idea to me, because how far have we been able to dig down? Is it like 2 miles? Something really crazy small like that. But if you've seen any of the new Godzilla movies, the ones made by Legendary Pictures, they seem to take place in a Hollow Earth. There's some very Hollow Earth confirmed type scenes in that and Kong Skull Island, and that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I haven't really looked at it as a conspiracy. Maybe I should. I think it should be a Screwball Saturdays. Aliens and UFOs. That's a tough one. I don't know. I did do some debunking with Blue Earth thing. If you scroll down in the community tab, it's in there somewhere. And we looked at some alien and UFO type footage. Most of it was hilarious. One of it was literally 2 frames of a fly moving past the camera. It was unbelievably funny. But as far as I'm concerned, aliens, they probably exist somewhere, somewhen. But are aliens UFOs? Probably not. I mean, UFOs exist. Just any unidentified aircraft is a UFO. But as far as, flying saucer type UFOs, I doubt there's anything alien going on there. If they aren't all hoaxes, then I suspect some of it is just secret military type stuff. Pentagon recently, actually, I think, finally admitted to that and said, yeah, we do investigate UFOs. And the logical people among us were like, well, of course you do. Yeah. That's my thoughts on them, but I'll probably do some videos on them eventually. Dragon 2K. How many fake flat earthers do you think are out there on YouTube? Majority, minority, or 50-50? How can you tell the difference? Good question. It's really hard to tell, because you would think that, say, Jeranism is a fake because he proved round earth and he's continuing to make videos somehow. But I think it's hard to say if that's him lying or him being that deluded. Let me tell a story to kind of give an example here. When I was 17, 18, I was 18, I was briefly kicked out of my parents' house and lived with a friend of mine, and I had brought a bunch of movies over, a bunch of DVDs when I came, and when I left, I was packing them all up, and we were sorting through them, trying to figure out which ones were hers and which ones were mine, and I grabbed Shaun of the Dead, one of my favorites. I freaking love that movie.
Nice. Good vocal work. Okay. Barbara, that's excellent. Sorry, dear, I was miles away.
And she goes, wait, no, that's not yours, that's mine. And my brain flashed back to a memory of her and I watching it for the first time at her house because I'd brought it over. And I don't know if she was that deluded or I was. Did I imagine watching it for the first time? Or did she imagine that it was hers? Same with flat earthers. I don't know. I don't know how you can tell the difference between delusion and dishonesty. I would say I'd go with 50-50 just to hedge my bets. Because, you never know. People can be that deluded, but there's also a lot of money to be made on the internet, so. Oh, Mark Sargent. Fake. Eric Dubé. Fake. I'll say that. For sure. Those two, bullshit. From Age Desert Rat. Who are your favorite science fiction writers? Have any had any influence on your style of writing? Well, I mean, my favorite science fiction writers... I haven't read anything else by him, but Dune by Frank Herbert is one of my favorite novels ever. It's just a brilliant, incredibly elaborate, dense, and compelling story. It's arguably one of the best novels of all time, I think. But I was always a really big fan of William Gibson and Neil Stephenson. I liked cyberpunk, and I liked the 80s and 90s cyberpunk fiction. So those two were... You hear that siren? I'm going to try and reduce the audio on that, but I live like 2 blocks from a fire hall, and sometimes it can't be helped. But who else? Favorite science... Orson Scott Card. I'm a big fan of Orson Scott Card, because I was compelled by a friend to read Ender's Game when I was really young, and I liked it, but I was like, wait, there's a whole series of these? And from Speaker for the Dead, which is the second one, onward, the Ender series is completely different from Ender's Game. Speaker for the Dead is amazing. It's a mystery novel where they tell you the answer to the mystery at the beginning of it, and throughout it, you just don't believe it until it actually happens. It's a really great novel. But have any had any influence on my style of writing? I don't know. Maybe Gibson, maybe a little bit. But my writing influences are more... I was more influenced by Stephen King when I was younger. Yeah, I know. King is great premises, terrible conclusions. That's him in a nutshell. But he's an excellent storyteller, so you got to give him that. So I would say he was one of my influences. Chuck Palahniuk is also a pretty big influence. I was a big fan of Pygmy and Invisible Monsters and Rant by Chuck Palahniuk. That might be my favorite novel ever. That's an amazing novel. Any others who might have had an influence on me? There's been some classics. There's been, Aldous Huxley, Orwell. The dystopian authors I was a big fan of as well, so they've probably influenced me a little bit. But aside from that, I guess it's a combination of everything else I've ever read, little books here and there. I will say my favorite book of all time, it's right over here, is House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. It is incredible. It's metafiction, which means it's very dense, very confusing, and very, very, very smart. But I could never write like that. Let's see. Randall Gibbons. Are personal questions okay? Absolutely. Do you have any pets? Currently, no. I used to have rats. I loved my ratties. They were sweethearts. But I don't have any pets currently. I've always grown up around dogs, and I love dogs. But in general, I love animals, and if I could afford it, I'd have some, and if I didn't live in a tiny apartment, I'd have a dog. 2, is creating content for your YouTube channel relaxing or stressful? Little column A, little column B? Mostly relaxing, because it's a creative outlet. It's kind of, it's alleviated some of the kind of pent-up creativity I have from writing, because I can think up ideas a lot more quickly than I can write them, but I can also pump out a 10-minute video quicker than I can pump out a 100,000-word novel. So it's mostly relaxing. It occasionally gets stressful with, say, demonetization or copyright claims or really, really gross comments from flat earthers, but it's mostly very relaxing. 3, what is the story behind your channel name? Okay, this has come up a couple times. So, my full actual name is Kevin Kennedy, so that's where you get Kennedy from. And when I was a kid in high school, in the 90s in Canada, kids were asking me, "Are you related to JFK?" And I was like, clearly not. But they'd ask anyway. So I always kind of associated with that name, and then in high school, people started calling me Neckshot because we thought we were funny because we were offensive. So Neckshot comes from the first bullet that hit Kennedy, came in right about here, came out his throat. And then Dead Kennedy was something I started identifying with as like a gamer tag and things later on in life. Partly because I liked the Dead Kennedys, but also I just liked that name. I do like the Dead Kennedys. I'm more of a metalhead than a punk, but I like my punk too. And then In Space was just a kind of obvious addition for this particular channel name. So that's where that comes from. And contrary to Flat Earther belief, my avatar has absolutely nothing to do with my username. The brain in the middle of the NPC head is not meant to be JFK's exit wound. I find that appalling that people would think that was the case. But yeah, Flat Earthers thought that was the case. No, it's just I'm a literal globe head. That's the point of the avatar. It's trolling all the Flat Earthers. It's saying I'm an NPC with a globe in my head. I thought that was obvious. Apparently not. OG Mitchell Crooks, what do you think of Trump? No, honestly. I mean, I thought season 1 of The Apprentice was okay, but it was lacking something. You know how like every show in its first season kind of needs to find its footing, figure out where it's going. That was me for the first season of Apprentice, but then came season 2. Then came Bradfield. You know, Bradfield, who says, "Oh, I'm going to give up my immunity this week. I don't need to be safe from being fired." And then Trump's like, "Okay, you're fired." Of course he did. It's Trump. Why would you do that? Why would you say that in front of him, Bradfield? That was a stupid decision. No, but really, I mean, I'm Canadian. My opinion on Donald Trump is completely irrelevant. And I don't do politics. It's not my wheelhouse. If I did, it wouldn't be partisan politics because this is going to sound like condescending, and I don't mean it that way, but generally in Canada, I don't know if this goes for the rest of the world as well, but we don't really do partisan politics here. It's not left versus right. Like, for instance, the current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, everybody was excited when he got elected. Conservatives and liberals alike were like, yeah, a great level-headed guy who's going to do great things for Canada. And now both liberals and conservatives hate him because of the way he's screwed up every opportunity he's ever had. He's more concerned with people seeing his socks than actually getting things done in the country. So we tend to look more at policy and less at the person and which side of the political spectrum they land on. So that's generally what I think of Trump. Maybe he's got some good ideas, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't live in America, so I can't see the influence his policies have had on America, so I can't really say. And I don't watch the news because, let's face it, honest news died with Walter Cronkite, maybe even before him. So I don't know. He seems like a douche, but let's be honest, most politicians do. So I don't know. I really don't know about Trump. I have no opinion. Chris Witt 66. How long before we go to Mars? A manned mission. Someone banging on the ceiling. I can't just get 30 seconds of quiet to make a video. How long before we go to Mars? I know that both SpaceX and NASA have plans to land a person on Mars within the next 50 years. What are you doing? And I also know that, if I remember correctly, SpaceX is like 2 years ahead of NASA in its planning. But let's remember the way space agencies plan. Everything takes forever. You gotta triple, quadruple check for all redundancies, all possible issues, account for things you can't even really account for because this is a first-of-a-kind thing. But that's my answer, is within 50 years. I kind of expect it might be expedited, but who knows. 10x investing. What goals do you have for your YouTube channel? Great question. I don't know. I mean, I've mentioned before that Flat Earth is obviously a sinking ship. It's a flavor of the month. And it'll probably always be fun to do a video or two about it every now and then. But my hope was to kind of transition more towards real science, more towards, you know, what's going on with space agencies these days. What have we found out about stuff out there in space? You know, kind of science lessons and tutorials on how to grasp the basics of astrophysics and cosmology and the scale of the universe. I think that's one thing flat earthers really struggle with, is scale. They don't understand how huge everything is. And it's hard to explain to people how huge things are. So that's kind of the general goal, is to transition more towards hard science. Although on the other hand, I have always wanted to write/direct an animated series of some kind. I would love to turn some of the stuff I have in writing into some kind of animated web series or something like that. So if anybody knows any animators who might be interested, hit me up. Doc Tyler. Hey Doc. 2,000 subs. Excellent. You're on your way, bro. Well, this isn't a question. You know, other YouTubers talk about you and it's all good. Drinks are on me. You still haven't told me who. I want to know, are flat earthers talking about me? Because I want to see that. Somebody told me that Dell did once, and I can't find a video of it, but I would love to see Dell's take on me. I think that'd be hilarious. I'm sorry if I mispronounced this one. Plagwaitiki? My question goes to you as well as FE. Why, if they don't believe in space and then don't believe in gravity, they pop up at every video about space exploration? Example, the trip to Mars needs a big gravitational push from the sun to shorten the time to 7 months instead of 9 or more. That's funny. That's really funny. But you know, they want attention. They want to be heard. So I honestly think they just YouTube search. They follow all the space agencies and then they YouTube search new space stuff, and they filter it by this week, and they go on every video and they comment and they go, "It's a lie, I'm woke and you're an idiot." They want attention. That's all it is. They just want attention. Throat Gorge 2? I learned about the Michelson-Morley experiment many years ago from my dad, who was writing a book about science. Really surprised that flat earthers claim this experiment was about proving the earth was motionless. When this was debunked on a few videos I watched, the commentators barely mentioned that the intention of the experiment was to test whether luminiferous ether exists. Correct. I would love to get a more thorough explanation of the experiment, maybe a whole video about it, that really emphasizes that it had nothing to do with the movement of the Earth. And I have yet to hear anyone bring up the fact that the movement of the Earth was a required component of the experiment in the first place. That's also true. In fact, if the Earth was a stationary object, there would be absolutely no way the experiment could have been staged. Would you speak to this issue? I'd love to. Now, you mentioned wanting to see a whole video about it. I think I'll go that route. I'm going to add it to my to-do, and I'm going to say I'll call it Michelson-Morley Explained or something, and I'll go more in-depth about what the point of that experiment was, how it worked, and how it, in absolutely no way, relates to the Earth's motion or potential lack thereof. Because, yeah, you got it 100% correct there. It was to test whether or not there was a kind of invisible ether that existed in the air. It was kind of a replacement for interstellar mediums, basically. But Yeah, I'll speak to that. I'll speak to that in a video, for sure. I'm sorry that doesn't give you an answer right now, but I will do a video about it, I promise. Feku. Hey, Feku. Question 1. Is the world flat if I really want it to be? Yes, and his turtle's all the way down. Question 2. If I ate myself, would I get twice as big or just disappear? These are the questions. These are the questions. Question 3. Do they have toilet paper in Canada? No. We use 3 seashells. 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 Seashells.
Oh, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Brian Newton. Congratulations on your 2,000 subs. Thank you. My question. Is flat earthism treatable or curable? We appreciate that it is essentially a mental or personality disorder. We know that most don't wish to prove the earth is flat, only to believe that it is flat. It's true. Which is in line with their doctrine, which we note often stems from the irrational belief in the Bible. If it is treatable, might it be the case that having less extreme irrational thoughts could be treatable also? If so, could humanity find a cure for religion? The traits of both flat earth and religion, they irrationally believe in something where there is no credible evidence to show for it to be true, their own doctrine contradicts itself in multiple places, this is ignored, and still follow it because they have faith and belief. Well, I mean, the first part of the question, is it curable? Yes. Tiger Dan 925. Enough said. Clear cognition. There are ex-flat earthers, so that tells us it is curable. But I think it requires way too much work that I'm simply not qualified to do to figure out how. I think it's got to be something that's done on a case-by-case basis. Because, yes, most flat earthers bring their beliefs back to the Bible, but some don't. There are some non-religious flat earthers, so they'd have to be looked at a different way. I think it's case by case. I think all extreme behavior can be dealt with on a case by case basis. Maybe a good example might be American History X, if you've ever seen that movie. It's about a neo-Nazi who reforms after he goes to prison. But the point of that movie was maybe not everybody can be woken up out of that kind of extreme thinking, but that guy could. Edward Norton's character could, because he went through some specific experiences that shoved in his face how his beliefs were wrong to a point where he could no longer ignore it. Another from Brian Newton. Have you or do you aim to see Dead Kennedys on tour this year? I note they're about to do the UK in August. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know they were still touring. Because I've seen YouTube videos that Jello does. What Would Jello Do is a really great series. He had some awesome stuff on all of the political violence that happened in 2016. He had a really interesting take on some of that. But I didn't plan to, but if they come anywhere near me, I'll think about it for sure. John Rapp. Hey, John. Do you have some thoughts on catchphrases, misnomers, disconnects, and bad logic, common misconceptions, example, spinning ball, black hole, the horizon always rises to eye level, flat V level, vacuums suck, water finds its own level, buoyancy and density makes things fall, gravity isn't a force, so many others? Short answer, yeah. It's the Words Flat Earthers Use Wrong series. That's exactly what that is. But there are some I haven't addressed. Black hole is interesting because, yeah, you're right, it's not a hole. And to my understanding, if I understand black holes correctly, because gravity is going to push in everywhere, it's going to contract on what was already a spherical object, so a black hole should be a sphere. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm correct in that, a black hole should be a sphere with a visible event horizon and accretion disk along the lines of like a circumstellar disk or a planetary ring system. Question 2: are you writing any more books? Loved your 2 trilogies. 5 stars. Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw in a screenshot right here of my current of a couple screenshots of my folders that I use to keep all my writing organized. I am constantly working on things. Part of my issue is that I can't focus in on one and just do that for a while. I'm trying to do that right now. I'm working on a novel called Source 2. It's about a fictional first interstellar voyage to Sagittarius A. So That one will be fun once I really get into it. I'm really only in the opening of it right now, but it's planned out and it's all set. It's nice. I like it. It's like classic sci-fi. So yes, I'm always writing more books. Alan D, can you talk about the retro reflectors left on the moon by the Apollo missions and how that debunks the flat Earth theory and moon conspiracy theory? Thanks. Pardon me. Yeah, absolutely. I brought this up on a Shell's live stream a little while ago. Let me answer this with a two-part question for flat earthers. Part 1. Can we verify the speed of light? Part 2. If yes, how is the moon not 238,000 miles away, considering we can fire light at it and it comes back in 3 seconds, roughly? Solved. Someone put the retroreflectors there, and the speed of light verifies the distance to the moon. End of story. I mean, honestly, the existence of radar debunks flat Earth, because theoretically, if there was some kind of firmament up there, we should be able to detect it via radar. If not, bounce a laser off it, and we've never been able to do that. So yeah, the retroreflectors on the moon are important. It is a very simple way to prove that A, man has been to the moon, and B, the moon is 238,000 miles away. Thank you, Alan. Tusk, or Tusk? There's an accent, so I don't know how to pronounce that. But this person has the coolest profile picture ever. Appears to be them dressed up as a unicorn? A lot of pink. Question 1, do you have a favorite kind of wasp? Question 2, have you ever worked in a dry cleaners? Question 3, why don't Nazi punks ever fuck off? So, based on that third question, I'm going to admit my ignorance here and say, if the first 2 questions are references to other Dead Kennedys songs, I don't know. But I'll answer them legitimately just in case they aren't. Do you have a favorite kind of wasp? No. All wasps can go die. Question 2, have you ever worked in a dry cleaners? No. That's got to be a reference. That's too specific. But no, I've never worked in a dry cleaners. And question 3, why don't Nazi punks ever fuck off? Because they can't. They wouldn't be Nazi punks if they fucked off. They'd be people. Blue Earth Thing. Hey, Blue Earth Thing. What is your dream telescope? That's a good one. I have to say I don't know too much about the specifics as far as brands and those kinds of things go, but I would love to one day have a setup something like what JW Astronomy has. Let me just throw in some photos that he's taken here and there, over there. He has taken some incredible pictures of not just the things in our solar system, but of nebulae and distant galaxies. Some really awesome pictures. So if I could ever see stuff like that, that's what I'd want to do. So I would want to set up like his, for sure. Harambe's ghost. Oh. Who really killed JFK? These are the questions, right? These are the questions. I just want to cut to that scene from Armageddon.
Hey, you guys wouldn't be able to tell us who actually killed Kennedy, would you?
A name in Russian lettering, so I can't pronounce it. I'm very sorry. I have no idea how to say that. But Sarantonis or Sabaton. I'm going to assume Sarantonis is another power metal band because I do know Sabaton. So I'm going to say Sabaton because Night Witches. Night Witches is a freaking awesome song. Let me cut in as much as I legally can here. Undetected, unexpected, wings of glory, tell the story. Christian Jensen. As another comment noted, I too like the Flat Earth Mental Illness series. Thank you. Would you consider a similar series on sovereign citizens? I think that these people are equally wacky, and I have a hard time figuring out what drives them. Not that I completely understand what drives flat earthers. They want to be special. Congrats on the 2K and looking forward to great videos to come. Thank you very much. Sovereign citizens, that's tough. That's a little tough for me because it deals with the specifics of American law, and I don't know the specifics of American law. I know a good deal of it, but not all of it. And I think I would probably just end up conflating Canadian and US law if I tried to do that. I don't think it's something I'm qualified to speak on, but I'll tell you what, I'll look into it and see if I can find the knowledge I need to make a video on that, or maybe more than one. But yeah, I'll look into sovereign citizens, but I can't guarantee I'll make a video out of it just because I'm not American. Sovereign citizens tend to be Americans. I can't say. Pete Beirut. Hey, Pete. Great job, buddy. Thank you, Pete. Question, how long until you get 3K subs? I mean, at this rate, not long. I'm already at like 2030 or something like that. It seems to grow exponentially. I occasionally hit a plane. I thought I might have been in trouble when I took a side in the non-sex situation, because it seemed like I lost a couple subs around that time, but I ended up gaining them back, and it's all for the better, so the sooner the better. Trigger Tits. That is an awesome username. Just saw you cross 2K subs. Congrats on reaching this milestone. Looking forward to 10K subs. Woohoo, someday. If you could be any flat earther, who would you be? I'm trying to think of one I have respect for. There isn't one. Like, I was trying to think of one who... You know what? I'm going to say this simply because they appear to be the smartest flat earther, and that's why they're clearly a Poe. Orphan Red. Orphan Red seems smart. She's just being a dumbass online and flashing her cleavage so that she can get attention. So I'll say Orphan Red. Logical Troglodyte. Hey, Logical. What happened to your body, man? How did you become a floating head in space? And who or what launched you into space? And why? All great questions. I clearly need an origin story. Because, I mean, originally it wasn't the intention that I was the floating head. I think, if I remember correctly, in my very first video, the head isn't in it. It's just relevant video over me narrating. But it slowly evolved into this floating head in space, and then I got the time lapses of Earth so I could insert myself into there. I guess I do need to now have an explanation for why I'm a floating head in space. And perhaps how I even sustain myself. I could write a decent little story about that. Victor Garcia. Victor Garcia. See, I was hoping for more of these. I was hoping for more sarcastic questions from flat earthers. Why can we see the Tycho crater? 52-mile diameter, I believe, and it's about 238,000 miles away? WTF. Lol. Simple question, just since I haven't commented on here in a bit. Yeah, Victor, I'm going to have to confess to you, if you still want to have a debate over voice chat, feel free to reach out to me, because every other flat earther's been bitch-made, so I don't have respect for you, but I at least respect the integrity in being willing to converse with somebody else. Discourse is fundamental to civilization, and the fact that flat earthers constantly run away from it is very, very indicative to me. But as far as Tycho crater goes, so for anyone who doesn't know, Tycho crater is a crater on the moon. It's a very big one. It's the one you can usually see it. You know how there's that kind of dark lump of color on the moon, and then there's a kind of bright white corner. Tycho's in that bright white corner. It's got some big streaks running out from it. In fact, here it is right here. But to answer that question, so why can we see it? We can't. Can you see it when you look up into the sky with your bare eyes? No, you can't. Here's a photo taken by me with a 30 times optical zoom camera, this camera, and you can't see it. You need optical assistance in order to see Tycho crater. So to just say that you can see it, well, yeah, you can see anything if you can zoom in enough. You can see anything you can see anything that the light reaches. Do you understand how light works, Victor? Do you? I am not sure that you do. Again, let's go back to Alan D's point. Retro reflectors on the moon. Fire a laser at the moon, it comes back 1.5 seconds there, 1.5 seconds back. The moon is 238,000 miles away. Deal with it. Michelle Pettigrew. Congrats on 2K. Question. How do seeds know which way is up? The roots always go down and the seedling always sprouts outwards. I'd love to know how a flat earther would explain it. Keep up the great work. Okay, so thank you. But I'm not sure if this was kind of a sarcastic question or not, because this has been explained, and it's something flat earthers should have a very big problem with. So I'm not sure if you were just saying that to kind of be like, here's some more globe proof, or if you actually want the explanation. The explanation is plants can sense gravity. Plants have a way to orient themselves. They have, I forget what they're called, but they have some kind of part of them that can detect pressure working down on them, and they will orient themselves accordingly in the soil, which makes me wonder. Now I have to look into some of the experiments growing stuff on the ISS, because how do those plants know which way to grow? That's an interesting question. How does a plant know which way to grow in microgravity? But yeah, short answer is roots sense pressure. They go down. Flower sprouts up. It senses light. It heads towards the light. But yeah, I would love to know how a flat earther can explain how a plant knows which way to grow. And if you say God did it, I will reach through the camera and smack you in the face. So that's all we've got. I thought there'd be more sarcastic questions from flat earthers. I'm a little disappointed in that, but whatever. It's I had fun anyway. So thank you all very much for all the questions. If you have any others that you think of as you watch this, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them. I am reaching a point where I've got a lot of comments and I do miss things from time to time, but I try and read all of the comments as best I can. If I miss it, I'm sorry, but I'll do my best. Thank you all very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel, which is Dead Kennedy in Space. If you want to support me further, links down below, and I will see you over the curve, Space Cowboys.
Live there, on the mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam, in a vast cosmic arena.